Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Shad. We are back on camera. I figured out a setup for how I want this place to look. That's a candle over there, by the way. I don't think a lot of you know, but I did move into this apartment a couple months ago. But it feels good to be back on camera like this. Today we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets and how the end of the season I think should go, or how I think it's going to go. This team has been dealing with a lot of turbulence. There's been a lot of injuries at untimely times because they've been really staggered throughout the year, it feels like. Peyton Watson just came back, and then in exchange for that, Julian Strawther is going to be out for at least a month. So there's been a lot going on. Aaron Gordon's missed some time. Russell Westbrook's missed some time. I want to talk about a couple things about the Nuggets and the rest of this season and how I think it's going to look. One, I want to talk about seeding. I want to talk about if there should be some sort of fight for a specific seed beyond just home court advantage, obviously. Like, they're not going to get the 1 seed, but if they get the 2 seed, like, beyond the home court, how does that benefit them matchup-wise? I want to talk about the players that I think need to show something or show a little bit more as we head into the home stretch of the season. I also want to talk about my overall outlook and my predictions on where I think the Nuggets are going to end up based on who they're playing, the injuries that are on the team right now, all that sort of stuff. So let's get right into this video, man. I'm excited. Before putting too much thought into whether or not the Nuggets want the 2 seed or should be fighting extra hard to get the 2 seed, my first thought is probably no. As a team, as a Jokic-led team with the talent that they have on the roster as is, I think they're good enough to hang in the 2 to 4 spot range. As long as they don't bottom all the way out, the lowest they are going to drop is 4, which does give them home court advantage against at least half of the playoff format, but it's not like they can really pick their spot this season. I was trying to do a hypothetical matchup, or like try to map out who they would hypothetically see if they stayed or fall a spot or 2 versus who would be in that 6-7 spot range. 6 through 10 is like practically tied or 1 game apart at any given moment. So it's really hard to try to theorize that, but I would say either a Minnesota or a Sacramento matchup might be what's in the cards for Denver. Do they have enough down the stretch to be able to like pinpoint where they want to be? Because their only job right now is just to win games, but they also have to take certain different matchups pretty seriously, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there are teams that they are tied with or half a game ahead or behind that they need to win their matchups against, and they're playing all of them down the stretch as we head to the playoffs. I say Minnesota or Sacramento because, one, the Suns are just broken mentally, and as a team there's just nothing left there anymore. The Mavs are hurt. The Blazers probably won't have enough of a late season push to get into that play-in spot. This is just all in theory, obviously, because like I said, I can't really pinpoint what it's going to look like, because all it takes is 1 week-long injury or 2 week-long injury to a prominent player on one of these teams that's fighting for a spot to change everything. So I will say with some certainty, I think the Nuggets need to prioritize health and rest down the stretch, because dude, this team's been so banged up all year, and at different spots too. I mentioned the staggering of injuries. It's just been a lot of shit that the Nuggets have had to deal with all season. Mike just has not looked like himself. So the Nuggets don't really have the luxury of trying to pick their spot. So is the 2 seed necessary? No. Should the Nuggets be going all out to try to get the 2 seed? No. I don't think they should. They have other things that they need to prioritize, because there's a lot of weak spots on this team right now relative to what the conference looks like. And I think the Nuggets just need to focus on getting healthy, getting rest. A couple players need to get back on track, which we are going to talk about in the next section. They just don't have the option to voluntarily cruise like they did in their championship year. They just don't have that option anymore. So it looks a lot different, especially with all the top level talent out west. Who needs to show what? Zeke Naji has been playing pretty damn good in his minutes as of late. I would say over, what would y'all say, like the last 3 weeks, a month or so, Zeke Naji has been putting up some good performances. All of February really was a pretty good month for him. What I need to see more from him is more bigger play. I need him to become a little bit of a better rebounder as we go into the playoffs. I need him to become a trusted 3-point shooter in that corner. He's going to have those shots. Teams are going to give him that shot. He needs to knock that shit down. In February, he shot 42. If he can do that on maybe one make a game or 1.5 makes a game, because I think the minutes are probably going to be there for him, that would be great. Russell Westbrook, take care of the ball a little bit more. Last couple games, the shooting percentages haven't really been there all the way. A lot of turnovers lately. We're dipping our toe back into that sporadic play that doesn't benefit anybody, which could be an effect of having to do more offensively and what the role he has within this offense when he's not playing with Jokic, when he is playing with Jokic, whatever. Because his shots are going to be there too. His on-ball opportunities are going to be there. We just need him to rein it in just a little bit more. This is for everybody. We all need to play some goddamn defense. It's been a season-long problem, but if we want to have any hope of being a championship level team this season, our defense needs to be up to par, because right now it just simply is not. Like, I could run through the numbers, I could go through the eye test. Like, I think everyone knows that the Nuggets are kind of free eats defensively, and that's a problem. Jalen Pickett, continue to show me and everyone that you are a real NBA player. You have been. In the minutes that you've been given, you've been putting up some good flashes and good showings and good habits, and that's really all we can ask for. Like, thrusting him into a position where he's so vital in the backup spot now that Julian Strawther is hurt, probably not going to bode well in the short term. But we're at a point where we just have no choice. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel of our roster. We are literally going to the ends of our bench for someone to perform and someone to be productive on the floor in a role that we need them. And backup guard outside of Westbrook is a position where we need a little bit more production. So if he can continue to show those good signs of defense, he's a bigger body. If he stays away from the booty ball, slow method of basketball that he used to play, and still does play, don't get me wrong, that's him, but he has sped up his game a little bit more. He's gotten a lot more confident in his jump shot, and it's all visible. So if he can continue to show those signs and continue to grow upon that, it'll bode well in the long run. The short term, I'm not sure how much of an effect it's going to have, but again, we need these minutes to be filled, and Jalen Pickett is up next. So that's where we're at. Michael Porter Jr. has hit a wall post All-Star break, and we just need that to not happen. I mean, he did just come off of an incredibly hot streak of I don't even know how many games where he's shooting lights out, he's putting up points, he's getting double-doubles, like he's looking really aggressive, which puts into my mind, into a lot of other people in this fan base's mind, that something may be wrong with him physically, injury-wise, like something may be happening with him that causes this big drop-off, because he's shooting sub 40%. Post All-Star break from the field, by the way, and then low 30s, I believe, in the three-point range. So rein that back in, because if there's another bad offseason of inconsistent Michael Porter Jr. play, there's a lot of questions that are going to be asked. I'm not, he just needs to get back. We've seen it. We saw the stretch. There's no reason why we can't see that stretch happen again as we head into the playoffs or into the first round or whatever, because that swings a series, man. That swings the outlook of what our team can be this postseason if Mike is playing like the version of Mike we saw a couple weeks ago. We can get back to that. We look like a much more dangerous team when Mike is being Mike. I also want to give a quick shout out to Jamal Murray, because since the All-Star break, he has been absolutely hooping. I'm glad he's rounding out. I'm glad he's getting back into shape, and I'm glad he's hooping his ass off, taking 7 threes a game, making 4.5 of them. Like, he's been going absolutely crazy lately. So shout out to Jamal. I know it's a yearly cycle. We do this literally every season, start slow, end strong, yada, yada, but still doesn't get any less scary seeing it any of those times, I will say, but I'm just glad that he's back. Looking at the schedule, the Nuggets have some hitters coming up. There are a couple games against Minnesota. I believe there are 3 Minnesota matchups. There are 2 Lakers games. There are 2 Rockets games down the stretch. They got Milwaukee, Golden State, Sacramento, who's fighting for their life in the standings right now. They've got a Memphis matchup late in the season that could potentially be a seeding matchup if both of those teams stay neck and neck with each other. There's a lot of very important games that the Nuggets need to win going down the stretch that I'm just not overly confident in. And it's making me a bit worrisome. And I like supreme confidence in my team. They won a championship. They have the same core that won that same championship. So I'm not dooming the rest of the season or dooming the playoffs or anything like that. I just think that given what the West has looked like this year, given the top end talent in the West, I should say, and given our matchups against specific teams that we could potentially match up against in the first round, I'm just a little worried. Speaking as unbiasedly, as candidly as I possibly can as a fan of this team, I'm a little worried about some of the matchups going down the stretch. Especially, and for the most part, really, the fact that we just have not had a full lineup. And it doesn't look like we're going to have that full lineup going into the postseason with Julian Strawther's injury. So it's just, there's a lot of these matchups that could affect seeding and could affect the head-to-head records that drop us lower, potential that some team in the 5-6 range catches on fire we drop 3 or 4 games in a row, all of a sudden we're looking at a 5-6 seed, right? It could go that way. I don't want it to go that way. Hope to God it doesn't go that way, but it could. And that's what I'm worried about if shit lines up the way that it could favorably for another team in our similar position. If you made it here, please like the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you do leave a thumbs up, it lets me know what the people want to see, what content resonates, what type of shit that y'all really like to see me produce. So help me out with a thumbs up, only if you like the video. I'm not gonna force you to thumbs up if you didn't like it. That's all I got, man. Have a great day. I'll see you in a few days for the next one. Peace out.